Hey, this is Music Hacks with Meg. My name is Megan Rogerson-Berry, and today I'm going to talk to you about 3 composing tools for use in Sibelius. So go grab a cup of tea or coffee, sit down, and here we go. So there are 3 tools in Sibelius that I tend to use when I'm composing, just to make things a little bit simpler and easier for me. Some shortcuts, if you like, because I'm a little bit lazy. And I thought I'd share them with you today. You may or may not find them useful, but I've found in the past that they do save me some time and just a little bit of mental energy. So I'm going to walk you through the 3 of them. The first one that I'd like to talk to you about is the realize chord symbols function in Sibelius. Okay, so this is if you are making a lead sheet or something. You've got a melody and you've input some chord symbols over the top of your melody, and you think to yourself, you know what, I'd like to actually hear what this sounds like without doing too much work, or I want to write a piano part now for the chords that I have in my lead sheet. This is really handy for those kinds of situations. So if you have a look on my first stave here, I've got a bunch of chord symbols. I've got, essentially I've got a whole lot of 7th chords. It doesn't matter what kind of chords you have. You can have triads, you can have 7th chords, you can have tensions, you can have anything. Sibelius will recognize it as long as it's a valid chord symbol. And you can also have, different chord lengths. So when you're inputting your chords, just select the length that you want your chord to last for, and then Sibelius will kind of recognize that. So different kinds of chords, different lengths of chords, works for all of that kind of stuff. So what you do is you select the section that you would like Sibelius to realize the chord symbols for. You go over to the text tab up the top. There's a little plugins menu here, and if you have a look down here under chord symbols, it says realize chord symbols. So you just click that button, okay, and then you have some options here. You can choose to have the chords realized in either the piano only in the left hand, the guitar or with notation, or the guitar with tab. Okay, there's also some options about the chord style that you can choose. You can have a chord every chord symbol. You can have a chord every beat. The chord could follow the score rhythm, or you can have some Alberti or arpeggio options. So it's really up to you. I would mess around depending on what you want. I'm usually just the simple chord every chord symbol kind of person. And then if you've chosen chords follow score rhythm, you can select which rhythm based on your composition you would like them to follow. Okay, so usually I'm a piano girl. I like to have the chords in the piano. And then once I've selected my options, I'll just hit OK. Okay, and Sibelius will create a piano stave for you, usually with the root notes of the chord in the bass and then the other notes of the chord in the treble clefs. Okay, and that's just a nice way for you to listen to the chords. Often they're quite nicely voiced. Sometimes they're a little bit clunky and you have to kind of mess around with them. Or if you're just new to composing piano parts or chordal parts, it's a good foundation, a good way to start working with chords in a chordal instrument. So that's my first composing tool in Sibelius is realize chord symbols. My second composing tool in Sibelius is actually the opposite of that. Is if you've been writing chords by ear, or you've been playing them in via MIDI, and you all of a sudden think to yourself, I better figure out what these chords are, or I think I need to create a guitar part with chord symbols instead, and you couldn't really be bothered. The second function is the opposite of realize chords. It's actually add chords symbols. So here we go. I've made a very this is, if I were to play this, it would sound disgusting in terms of the voicings, but there we go. Most of the chords are in root position and they're all clustered in the treble clef. It's ugh. But I've got my chords, and now I want to add some chord symbols, and I don't want to go and figure out what they are because I'm lazy. And so again, I go to my text tab up the top, I go to plugins, and I go to add chord symbols. Again, you come up with an options box. You can either add chord symbols at the start of every bar or every quarter note, or crotch it from the start of the bar, or you can change that depending on the situation with your harmonic rhythm. But generally speaking, the safe option is the quarter note option, which is the one I've got selected. Then you can have some more options. You can insert chord symbols at every specified position. Only insert a chord symbol if the root note has changed, or only insert a chord symbol if the chord name has changed. Now that's the default, and I find that that's the most useful for me. And you can put the chord symbols on a specific staff if you have multiple in your composition. For me, in my lead sheet, I only have one, so I don't have many options. There's also some options in terms of only writing chords with at least 3 distinct notes. That means that if you have 2 notes sort of played together, Sibelius doesn't recognize that as a chord. If you want that recognized as a chord, then unselect that option. But if you would rather just have the 3 distinct note chords, then I would leave that selected. Okay, and then the other option is to use slash inversion marks. Example, G over D, so a G major chord with a D in the bass. I always have that selected as well because inversions are important, guys. They are, especially for guitarists and bass players. So yeah, select the inversions. Yeah. Okay, cool. So there we go. I'm gonna hit OK. And if I wait a minute, there we go. Here my chord symbols pop up. Surprise, surprise, they're the same chord symbols as the previous example. Okay, beautiful. Saves me a lot of time, and that's what I'm really aiming for in Sibelius, is just save time. So that's the second composing tool, is to add chord symbols. My final composing tool in Sibelius is a bit of a weird one. It's to add drum patterns to a composition. All right. Now the reason that I use this tool is because I am quite lazy, like I said, and I don't like to spend time setting up multiple voices, and multiple voices are often the only way that you can notate drums accurately and neatly. So often what I will do is I will go and I will add a bar of drum notation that Sibelius automatically generates, and then start to mess with it for my subsequent drum parts. And this is because it sets up the voices for me, and I've got a structure that I can work within, and it literally takes a few seconds. Okay, so where do I go to get this? I go to the Note Input tab. I've selected the 1 bar that I want to add my drum notation to. I could select up to 4 bars, or I could select the whole score if I wanted to, but that I don't usually do that. You can try it, see how it goes. But there we go. I've selected where I want to put the drum notation. I go to the plugins. There's a little box that says composing tools, and if I go down to the second one, it says add drum pattern. So I'm going to click that. Now we can choose a style. There's heaps of different styles here of different drum patterns. So depending on what you're composing, that will change the kind of style that you need. So I'm going to go rock, alternative, straight eighths. Okay, so pretty much one of the most basic drum patterns that there is. Options, add metronome mark. No, I don't want to do that. I want it to be the same tempo as my current piece is in. Start with an intro or 1 bar. No, I don't want that. Fill or break every bar or every 4 bars here. No, I'm not keen on that either, but you might be. You don't have to think about fills, so that's good. And end with an outro bar. No, I'm not too keen on that. I just want simple drum notation. But, you know, work through your options depending on what you want. And then I hit OK. Takes a while to think about it, and then here is my drum notation. All right, and if I select this, you can see that the kick and the snare, they're in my voice 2, and the hi-hats are in voice 1. Okay, so that stops me from messing around getting, number one, getting the crosses for each note head for the hi-hat, but also from setting up the 2 different voices. Okay, and so much quicker and easier from that perspective. After that, I can start to mess with the different note values. in my drum notation, and I can, you know, change the pattern depending on what I want. I can copy and paste. I can do all kinds of things with that. I can move this hi-hat up to a crash if I wanted to. Just gives me, I guess, a blueprint to work from. Okay, so those are 3 of the composing tools that I use in Sibelius, mainly because I'm lazy, but also because it's more quick and efficient to do it this way. If you have any other cool composing tools that you've made use of in Sibelius, please do let me know. I'd like to check them out. If you have any comments or questions or insults, please in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more videos, subscribe. In the meantime, this is Music Hacks with Meg, and remember, work smart, not hard.